Hey guys, Dr. Stephanie here. I'm a physical therapist, and today I want to talk about anterior pelvic tilt. So that's a term that gets thrown around a lot, and I think a lot of people don't really know what it means or how to assess it or whether or not they need to actually fix it if they have it. So what does it mean? So anterior pelvic tilt just means the pelvis is tilted forward. And the pelvis is these bones around here. It's two bones that are basically together, and it can rotate forward and backwards. That anterior pelvic tilt just means it's kind of tilted forward like this. But to be honest, if you look at someone, and I've been a PT for over 12 years now, and I've assessed a lot of people, you can't completely figure out whether they actually have anterior pelvic tilt. Because even if you see them kind of tilted forward like this, it could just be that a certain muscle is tight, a certain muscle is weak, or that's just their preferred stance. You don't actually know if the pelvis is actually tilted forward. It's also important to note that some degree of anterior pelvic tilt is normal. Usually they say around 4 to 10 degrees. So most people have some degree of anterior pelvic tilt, and it's not really a problem unless it bothers you. And most people are more bothered by the appearance, by just that kind of tilted forward, that lower back, increased lordosis here, kind of that increased curve, maybe the stomach sticking out a little bit. Maybe it just feels uncomfortable. Because if you actually have true excess anterior pelvic tilt, it can actually decrease some rotation in your hips, especially internal rotation, and that can cause an increased risk of knee injuries, hip injuries, and even lower back stiffness. But most people don't actually have that excess anterior tilt. They just have a normal amount, and maybe they've just gotten into a bad posture of kind of leaning forward like this. So the fix for that, and you don't really need to fix anterior pelvic tilt, but if you're having any discomfort from standing like this and want to get in a better posture, or just the appearance kind of bothers you, you can fix that. And that fix is building core strength, teaching yourself, your muscles, your posture to kind of come back into a more neutral spine, kind of rotate the pelvis back a little bit. You're not necessarily rotating your pelvis, the bones, but you're just teaching your body or reteaching your body to kind of stand in a more neutral spine here. And I'll teach you that when we do the exercises. So that's kind of the goal, is to strengthen those core and hip muscles and do some mobility and kind of just reteach yourself to be in a more neutral spine position. So again, do you need to fix anterior pelvic tilt? No, it's typically not a problem, and it really just means where the pelvis is in space. But you can fix it. You can improve that posterior pelvic tilt or improve that neutral spine by doing some exercises if that bothers you, or if you're having any symptoms or low back stiffness that you think is related to standing in a certain position. Okay, so we're going to start off on the mat, and we're going to lie on our back. So the first thing I'm going to teach you is how to do a posterior pelvic tilt. So this is kind of the fundamental. If you feel like you have too much arch in your back, or the fronts of your hips feel tight, then we want to get into a more neutral spine. So lying on your back, you can put your hands right here on your pelvis. You're just going to rotate back and flatten your back to the floor. So that's getting yourself into more of a posterior pelvic tilt. And then you can come back forward and then do it again. So just repetitions of this. And this is what we're going to use for the rest of our exercises too. So once you get the hang of this, you're going to add it to other exercises so we can strengthen in that position. So you're going to hold it there while you do different things. And then that'll kind of teach your body that, hey, this is the position we want to be in instead of that anterior pelvic tilt. So you just rotate back like this, and you can do 20 to 30 of those. That can be kind of a daily thing. It's not a hard exercise, but if you have been stuck kind of in this forward pelvic tilt position for a long time, it may be more difficult than you think. It's just kind of a roll back and flatten your back to the ground. All right, so next you're going to bring your feet up off the ground, and this kind of automatically puts you in a posterior pelvic tilt, but you want to make sure you keep it there. So you want to keep your back flat on the ground, and you want to kind of tighten your abdominals. So almost like slightly pull your belly button to your spine. You can put your fingers right inside your hip bones And when you slightly pull in, you'll feel those muscles kind of pop into your fingers. So you want to do that, and then tap a heel to the floor and come back up. Tap the other heel to the floor and come back up. You just want to alternate. You want to make sure your back stays flat. You want to make sure you kind of contract those abdominals, so pull that belly button in and bring your heel down to the ground, just nice and slow. Again, this is just teaching your body to be in that more neutral spine position. It's also helping to build those deep abdominal muscles. So this is also great if you just have some lower back pain or you have some pelvic floor weakness. You really are building those abdominal muscles. So again, you want to do 20 to 30 of those. All right, so next what we're going to do is a single leg bridge. So this is a little bit more difficult, and you can start with a double leg if you need to. But you're going to straighten one leg. You're going to kind of tighten those abdominals, so pull that belly button in and lift your hips till you're in a straight line here, and then back down. And you really want to tighten first so that you stay in that straight line, and you don't want to arch your back too much as you lift up. So you're just going to lift up and then back down. And then you'll repeat on the other side. You want to do about 2 to 3 sets of 10 on each side. You want to make sure your pelvis stays level. And if you feel like this is too hard or it's not staying level, start off with a double leg bridge. So pull that belly button in and just lift here. And then you can work into the single leg bridge. Okay, now we're going to go on our hands and knees. And we're going to go into a little bear position bridge. So that's where you just are here. Kind of pull your belly button in, lift your knees up, and you're going to extend one leg and then come back and bring it forward and then bring it down. Extend, bring it forward, and then bring it down. And again, that's an even harder one, but if you can master that one, then you're really getting those deep abdominals working, you're getting those hips working, you're really teaching your body to be more in a neutral spine position. So again, 2 to 3 sets of 10. Now, if that one's super hard, but you can do it, start off with a lower number, maybe 10, maybe 15, and gradually work your way up to more and more. Okay, so now we'll stand up. So it's important to note that it's important to strengthen those core muscles. It's important to strengthen those hip muscles. It's also important to start with the easy ones, lying on your back, and then gradually progress to harder and harder exercises, because you really want to challenge those core and hip muscles. You want to make sure that they're getting stronger over time to keep you in that position. Okay, so now this one, we're going to do an RDL, but we're going to use a ball, and you can use a block or a towel or something else if you want to. And you're going to place it on right above one knee, hold it there with your hand, and then with the other, you're going to pull your belly button to your spine, try to keep your back straight up and down, and you're going to lean forward towards the ground and come back up. This ball here just helps kind of keep you in that neutral spine position. Once this gets fairly easy, you can progress to doing it just without the ball and with weight, but you can start here to kind of just give you that cue to tighten and keep it tight as you lean down and come back up. So keep it tight and come back up. Again, 2 to 3 sets of 10 on each side. And then we'll grab a weight, and I have a 10-pound. I could probably do more. This is just what I had for this video. We're going to do a goblet squat. So feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Hold the weight under your chin. And you do want to use a weight that is challenging for you. So if you, like this 10-pound weight isn't too challenging for me. So if you have a 10-pound and you're like, oh, that's pretty easy, definitely try to go up in weight if you can. So feet about shoulder width apart. It's important to make sure you pull your belly button in. So you want to tighten those abdominals and squat down. You don't have to go all the way to the floor. You can go 90 degrees, or if you can't go 90 degrees yet, that's okay. You can do like a mini squat. Hold it there. So when you get to the top, relax. Pull your belly button in again, tighten, squat down, and come back up. So almost everything can be a core exercise. You just have to learn to contract that core, learn to teach your pelvis to be in the right position. So you don't really want to squat with kind of your stomach sticking out and your back really arched like this, that's not super good for your back, and it also kind of puts you in that more anterior pelvic tilt position. So I have a tendency to just kind of lean forward like that, but to really get those lower core muscles activated, then you really have to work on pretty much every exercise you do. Really just pull that belly button in, tighten those core muscles, and then do the exercise. And this can translate to daily life too. So whatever exercises you're doing, whatever you're doing, even if you're just sitting in a chair and you go to stand up, you can kind of pull that belly button in, kind of get in that more neutral spine, and then stand up. So that all of that will help strengthen those muscles, kind of put you in a more neutral spine. And I want to say again, anterior pelvic tilt, really just a position of the pelvis in space and totally normal. There can be such a thing as excess anterior pelvic tilt, and that still doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. But if the anterior pelvic tilt is bothering you, if you feel like it's making your back hurt, or you just are bothered by the appearance of it, then all of those are reasons to fix it. Even if you don't need to fix it, all of these exercises are great for increasing core strength and hip strength. And that's a great thing because that can help prevent back injuries, hip injuries, and just make you feel better overall. So if you think you have anterior pelvic tilt, try these exercises. If you have any back pain or hip pain or knee pain, try these exercises. Even if you don't have any of that, try these because these will help prevent injuries later in life. So try them and see how you feel.